Now then everyone, you've stumbled on the Hairy Pineapple, and we're going to talk about some anime that I find really good, that hopefully you in turn will go and watch because I've told you it's good. Now, we're going to be talking about Death Note today. That's one anime that I've gone through quite a number of times, and it's because the story is so gripping, and it's because it tells the story in such a good way and such a coherent way that like it appeals to people who don't watch anime, and it appeals to people who do watch anime because the way the animation is done and the way that Ryuk, the deaf god, the way that he is animated and the way that he is voiced, it just appeals to so many people. It's already a very popular anime, but I'm doing this review because it's my first one and I wanted to do one that I really enjoyed, and because it's the start of October, I wanted to make sure that it was the start of what's going to be some very good horror animes. Alright, let's jump into it. So the Death Note is about a guy called Light who finds a book on the floor. The book comes with some rules. Rule number one is that whoever's name is put in the Death Note is going to die within 6 minutes and 40 seconds if the specified death can fall within 6 minutes and 40 seconds. If there isn't a specified death, then that person will then just die of heart attack. Another rule is that the Death Note doesn't affect anybody under 720 days old. And the other rule is that like the Death Note doesn't affect anybody over 124 years old. The Death Note doesn't affect anybody who are 12 minutes close to death. And also the person who owns and uses the Death Note can neither go to heaven or hell. So now we're in a world that actually involves heaven or hell. So there you go. And I don't think, I could be wrong, this is just off memory, I don't think that two people with a Death Note can write each other's names in the Death Note. Like they're not affected by it. If two people write somebody's name, the same person's name, then it's the first person who finishes is the person who gets the death. If they write it within 0.06, this is semantics, but if they write it within like 0.06 of a second, then like it counts as simultaneous and they don't actually die. That person is free. So if you've got two people who are really competitive and looking to kill you, then you could get a free one there, but then they could just write your name again and then there you go. Also, if they misspell your name 4 times, then that is it. Like, you don't get affected. I don't know whether it's you don't get affected by that particular death or you don't get affected at all by that particular Death Note. So somebody else with a Death Note could get you, but this person can. So you're off. So anybody with a really complicated name is gonna be free of death. But back to the actual series, like I've not met an anime series with that's been written so well and just put together so fluid, and it just flows from one episode to the next really well, and there's no from what I've seen, there's no like consistency issues or anything like that, and they kind of like carry on as they started, and each character kind of plays to the core character that they had in the first place. You watch people change as they go through the series, because everybody's affected in different ways by all the Death Notes and things like that. I just think it's a really good and compelling anime for anybody who doesn't like anime, or for people who do as well, because it doesn't play to the normal kind of, I suppose you'd kind of say, like wild rules of anime, and instead it plays to a strict storyline, and it kind of like it just has a sense of what the right word is. It has a real sense of flow about it, and for me, my favorite character in it is Ryuk, because like he's so comedic about the whole process throughout, that it's kind of like an aspect that anybody can kind of take death anyway, through sadness, through anger, and Ryuk shows through even a bit of comedic laughter, that it becomes okay and it becomes normal for Ryuk to do that. So that just ends up playing really well throughout the series, and he stays an observer throughout the series and doesn't really do anything more than that, apart from when he's subjected to the rules himself. And even then he'll make like banterish comments like, oh, this is good, I can't wait to see how this goes, and then when Light makes certain decisions, he'll comment on those as well, saying that like, yeah, this is really good, I'm starting to like you a lot, Light. And it's honestly, you don't really see it quite a lot through different anime series. There's a lot of anime series where like it plays through very sort of like 2D characteristics, and you're just kind of watching it because it's like it's entertaining in a kind of like background kind of way, whereas this like pulls your full attention in, and you end up like loving most characters in it, even though you're supposed to probably hate them. And to be honest, I've like I say, I've not really seen a series quite like it. There's one recurring joke throughout it, and this is where some spoilers might come in, that like gods of death love apples, and it's really throwaway. It's not really like something that like is an actual joke in a scene and then we come out of it and that's it. It's like a recurring thing that like Ryuk and most other gods of death just really love apples, and it's one that made me laugh the first time while watching it, and there's not really much of any point to it. It's just like, there you go, gods of death love apples, and it's a weird one, but like they do use it really well, even though it's just a throwaway comment. There's a lot of scenes that kind of really impact the whole story, and engage you to watch it, and a few of those scenes are the back and forth between Light and L, because you get more and more engrossed as they start to talk to each other, in the way that you know, you're wondering whether L suspects Light, and whether Light can kind of, you know, come up with a way out of any particular situation that he's in. And this spills over to a lot of different situations back and forth throughout the series, and that's probably one thing that you could say that you probably don't like about the whole thing is because they're constantly going back and forth. It's constant cat and mouse game all the way through, and it's for the most part it is good, but I can see why maybe people wouldn't be entertained by that, because it can get quite exhausting for people who aren't really into that thing. Now, I myself really enjoyed it. I just think that it shouldn't have ended. I think there should have been more, but then that would be exhausting for everybody. Just when I like something, I don't like it to end. I want it to carry on more and more and more. But I think the character development of Light from the start of the anime all the way through to the end, the change in even the way he talks can be really noticed throughout the series when you go back and watch it again, or maybe you're aware enough to kind of notice it while you're watching it. I was too into the story the first time, and then when I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, actually, yeah, you can see he's starting to talk very differently to the start of it. He's very what would you call desperate. He's very desperate the way he talks and stuff. The only thing that bothers me about the Death Note, right, is that how could somebody who's so good just suddenly turn incredibly bad by a book? Now, there is the saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. This may be true, however, you got a book on the back says you can kill people. If you put the name in, they're going to die in 6 minutes, 40 seconds, whatever. And then what happens is that you want to test it out, right? But you're a good person, so you think to yourself, who actually deserves to die? Now, this would be the moment for me where it would be I don't know if I can do this, even if it's fake, because I don't really want to tempt fate and play God. Now, there are some people that would do this. It's just that the attitude of Light pre-Book of Death is one of a stand-up citizen, one who would never do any wrong. So it's just a strange one that he would do that initial act the first time. But that's by the by. Now, so he tests it out, he does it, it works, and then he decides that I'm going to become, the god of death. And what precedes that is just a series of massive cat and mouse games, different situations where Light is then, in sticky situations. I don't want to spoil too much for you. And then where, he has to get out of them. Does he get out of them? Will he get out of them? Who knows? He's a very intelligent lad. And the series overall is incredibly good. And 100% is something that people should watch. So there you have it then. In my opinion, Death Note is the perfect anime to show somebody who is looking to start anime but doesn't really know where to start, or somebody who is addicted to anime and is looking for the next thing to latch on to and really binge. In my opinion, I would give it 7 apples out of a possible 10 Light Yagames. So that's really it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments below as to, you know, your favourite moments of Death Note, because if we can't talk about this, then it's just me rattling on for, I don't know, what was it, 10 minutes or so. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for making this far. I'm the Hairy Pineapple, and you lot have been lovely. See you in a bit.